As creators, we are really scared about beginnings. The blank page of a new draft, the empty canvas, the cold open, the hook of a YouTube video designed to keep the audience watching. Yes, it can be tough to start. But sometimes there is something far more frightening just waiting for you to get started. Now, the reason I'm making this video is I had this really cool idea for a video essay that I wanted to work on. But you know how it is. I procrastinate, I struggle to put down the first few words, and then I procrastinate some more. But then it happened. I focused for long enough, my idea started to take shape, and the story just started to flow. And that was when things got weird. I had crossed the chasm of procrastination and written the opening of my essay, the lines that would define the tone and the scope of my creative project. That's when I realized that there's just so much more I could talk about as part of this essay. At first, that felt incredible. Wow. I could draw parallels with history. I could draw lessons that might help us navigate the future. And it is going to be a hell of a future to navigate. So what started as a project where I thought that I would be making a simple point as commentary to a video game that I'd experienced ended up becoming a sprawling exploration of a historically significant concept. Now, I don't want to give the idea that this is going to be a masterclass video with PhD level research, but it's more like I thought I was going to make toast with some butter on it, but now realize that what I actually wanted to serve is a layered sandwich with 3 different fillings and 2 spreads, and the butter was just to enhance all that flavor. The reason I said this was weird is that when I realized that my project had a larger scope, it was both exciting but also intimidating. Seeing an artistic venture become more promising than you had expected is thrilling and feels like life has handed you a gift. But with that increased promise and potential, you realize that it is now your responsibility to make good on that promise, to manifest that potential. And that's the part that feels overwhelming, in a good way. Of course, it also has practical implications. Like you realize it's going to take more time, you have to move your schedule around. I dealt with that by planning this video, the one you're watching now, to keep content flowing into this channel. Speaking of this channel, if you're new here, I am Vikram, a first-time science fiction writer working on a novel about post-mortal humanity. If you would like to follow my writer's journey and hear some of the stories and thoughts rattling around in my head, then do subscribe to this channel. Getting back to the topic, I was curious if well-known artists had also gone through this intimidating experience. And speaking of things that intimidate artists, I asked ChatGPT. Yeah, I mean, being a research assistant is one of the things that AI is good at as far as artists are concerned. So what's the worst that could happen? So here's what ChatGPT said. Yes, what you're describing is actually a well-documented emotional whiplash in creative work, and plenty of artists, writers, and filmmakers have gone through it. Okay, that's cool. And in fact, it gives us a bunch of examples here. From Orson Welles to Mary Shelley to Francis Ford Coppola. All right, looks like I'm in good company. And here it says something that this is the moment where your brain realizes this isn't just an idea anymore. This is a mountain. I thought it was a cool quote and I wondered where it came from. And ChatGPT then tells me, it isn't a historical quote. That was just my own way of summing up the feeling you described. Okay, that was slightly misleading. But it did ask if I wanted it to dig up actual documented quotes from artists, and I said, yeah, sure, please do it. So it spits out a bunch of information, and when I ask it to link me the articles of the actual situations where artists have described the sensation, and then it says, looks like those quotes I shared were paraphrased or misattributed. I couldn't verify them with reliable sources, and they might lean more into creative interpretation than direct citation. Good Lord. This is where we stand with AI today. It sounds confident, but just might be completely fabricating things out of its own imagination. Have you had such experiences before using ChatGPT and other AI? If so, do let me know in the comments. I'm curious how people are using ChatGPT, which seems to be a good research assistant, but is a little dubious at times. Anyways, enough about that ChatGPT tangent. I hope that any issues you're facing in your creative life, whether it is writer's block or procrastination or this feeling of overwhelm, I hope you're able to overcome it soon and move forward creating what it is that you wish to create so that the world can enjoy. All the best and see you in the next video.